Hello everyone and welcome to TV Talks, the show where I take a look at both the good and the bad of what television has to offer. And today is an emergency TV talk. I made a video about Modern Family recently saying that the 8th season was off to a terrible start, being a mixture of both 6 and 7, the two worst seasons of the show, where it's not even the same show anymore. I also said that Clean Out Your Junk Drawer was the worst episode of them all. I found one worse, and it aired tonight. In fact, it just got done airing a little bit ago. I just finished watching it. This is about, 10 minutes after it. That was awful. It's called All Things Being Equal, and this is one of the worst sitcoms episodes I've seen in quite some time. This is going to be a lot less polished and a lot more stuttery than usual because this is off the cuff. If this was so bad, I want to get it out of the way now. If the rest of the episodes like this, season 8 could bottom season 6, and I didn't even think that was possible. And this is one of the biggest fans of Modern Family talk, and I got like a whole bunch of episodes pretty much memorized. I've seen them so much. How could this happen? It's terrible. It really is terrible. What's happened to the show? It's not even Modern Family anymore. Let me explain the plots of this episode, because Modern Family has many plots. Well, they did one thing right. I asked for the kids to come back, and they did. Now I wish that they weren't in it, because this was terrible. So, there are 3 plots, technically 4/5, but let's go over them from least bad to worst. So there is a plot about Jay and Phil talking about that parking lot thing again. Remember how I said they dropped it? Well, now, midway through the season, they bring it up again after, 10, 12 episodes. What is this? Or season 4 Adventure Time? Sorry if that reference isn't quite on point. I haven't really seen it very much, and, well, it's about these 2 people. One is a sassy black lady who talk a lot, and then another one is about some Mexican guy or something, I don't know. It's such a bad stereotype, I can't even tell what they're trying to stereotype. And he can't even speak English, and then Jay and Phil argue over which one to hire. So then Phil ends up hiring the sassy black lady, and then she talks too much and then ends up causing trouble for the people who want to park, and then costs them money. And then it's about them coming to terms with their differences. This one wasn't offensively bad. It's it's the only one in this episode that wasn't. This one was okay, but it was really, really boring. We all knew what was going to happen. Phil and Jay were going to work out their differences, and then whether or not the lady would be fired is ambiguous, and it will probably never be addressed again unless she becomes a mainstay character on the show like the LaFontaines or Andy, and then take up way too much screen time and people don't like them until they end up erasing them from existence without even mentioning it. Wow, that was a long tirade. But we all know what's going to happen, we all know the jokes, we all know that Phil's going to come in to fire her, but then she turns on her charm, and then, he doesn't want to do it, what's going to happen? Jay makes the move and fires her anyway, and Phil gets mad. I never would have seen that coming. What's this? They confront each other when things get really bad, and then they decide to just work out their differences with each other, randomly? I never would have guessed. The problem with this one is it's boring. All the season 7 episodes were like this. They all had the really cliched, formulaic Modern Family plot, which Modern Family didn't really have a cliche plot, but you're taking all the stuff that they did, like all the twists and turns, and compiling into one thing, and while that normally would be good, the problem is they're doing it so much that you know what's coming. Like I said, of them, this wasn't very bad. There wasn't really any funny bits. The one mildly amusing thing until they drug it into the ground was the coin that Phil had, because I thought they were going to take it somewhere, but they never really did. They actually turned it into a legitimate plot device instead of a joke. And no Two-Face reference either. That would have been great, especially because the coin kind of looks like that one from Batman Forever, almost like Batman and Robin. So now let's get to the Mitch and Cam one. I don't think I said this in my TV talk, but Mitch and Cam have the best segments usually. Even though the Dunphys are the focus, and then the Pritchetts or the Pritchett Delgados, I guess, or whatever, they have the most experimental. Mitch and Cam's have the funniest, usually. Especially early on, like the Music Man episode that I mentioned, one of my favorites, where Jay's brother comes to visit and then they find out he has cancer, where Cam takes over the musical and it just ruins it, and then and then it comes back to bite him, his egotism and all, and then the whole play is terrible, and he gets blamed for it, and then the whole joke with the insignia and the "we love the word," oh, I love that bit. Oh, I miss those days, because now we have this plot. So Lily isn't in this one, because she's in a different plot. So we have Mitch, Cam, and brand new main cast character, because if it worked for the Brady Bunch and Fairly Odd Parents and Modern Family's later seasons, it's gonna work for here, right? It doesn't. So, Cam has a sister named Pam, a very large, very loud redneck sister who's basically a more southern Cam, but a girl and a redhead. She was a fine character until they started using her too much. They had a fine appearance with her in season 6 or 7 where she ended up getting left by her husband, and then she ended up moving in with them. That was fine. Then they brought her again in season 8, and now she is a new mainstay character to the cast. It didn't work for Andy, it didn't work for the LaFontaines, and it most certainly didn't work for Rainier Shine. What makes you think it's going to work here? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Because she is not funny and it is entirely pointless. And then they don't have just one new character, but 2 new characters. Little baby Calhoun, who makes his first appearance in here because she gave birth in a previous episode and I don't care at all. And so the episode at first is about Cam doing his school musical, which got me really, really excited. Because like I said, the Music Man episode, because I mentioned that for a reason. So funny with that awful play he makes, that awful, awful play. And I thought this was going to be great, especially because, according to Mitchell, it's The Wizard of Oz, but with Cam instead of Dorothy. It's basically just a ripoff. Like they have the talking milk jug instead of the Tin Man, and they have a scarecrow, and they have, instead of flying monkeys, flying possums who get whipped up by a tornado. This sounds funny, and most of all, it sounds like Modern Family. Guess how much they mentioned in this episode? Twice. They have it once when Mitchell explains it to the audience / Cam, and then one more time we see the stuff in the background when Cam is sewing, and then we never see that again. You set it up, you had great material, and then you just decide to dump it overboard. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, and so what is this actually going to be about? So at first, it's about the play. Now it's about little baby Calhoun, as they keep calling him over and over again, and not just Calhoun, which is the most stereotypical Southern name I've ever heard, if I do say so myself. But it's about the baby liking Mitchell way more, and then Cam gets jealous, and hey, it's my favorite part of the show again, jealous Cam, jealous, spiteful, indignant Cam. Out of all the characters, I keep saying Cam gets Flanderized the worst, and that is no exception here. He even says like that he doesn't know Mitchell to the baby, and that he just disowns him. And then he's trying to play the victim here again. He's trying to spotlight hog everything, and he won't let Mitchell be good at anything. He has to be better. He has to be Cam the God, Cam the God. And then, if you thought that was bad enough, they changed plots again. Yay, another plot. This time it's about Pam having feelings for Mitchell, and then she kisses him, and then Mitchell doesn't like it, except he does, except he doesn't. We don't know because he keeps changing it over and over. And then Cam sees this on his video baby monitor that he now has all of a sudden magically, and it was never established before. And then they get angry at each other, and then all of a sudden it comes back to the baby thing, and then the kissing thing is never mentioned again, and then it just gets resolved with Mitchell getting thrown under the bus. Another thing I forgot to mention about New Modern Family is, have you ever heard of the trope Megward the Wizard? That is a character in a show that exists purely to be tortured, like Meg Griffin from Family Guy, Squidward from Modern SpongeBob. Mitchell Pritchett in New Modern Family is one of these. Welcome to the club, Mitch. Mostly because of Cam. Cam has to be better. Normally, he gets his comeuppance, but now lately, he has to win. He, as a minor antagonist, wins in the end. And Mitchell gets thrown under the bus for being the voice of reason. It's not as bad as like Meg Griffin or Squidward, like I mentioned, but it is still bad. And it's still annoying. And it's still not funny. Now we get on to the last plot, which is technically 2. I'm gonna warn you guys, I'm gonna get a little political here. I have made a solemn vow on this channel to never, and I mean never, ever give my political beliefs, because I want to keep a good audience and I want to stay a very good, strong person that everyone will like. But what I'm gonna say here has nothing to do with the cause itself, but more of the way that the episode tries to portray it. So, for those of you who don't know, there's a big issue lately of gender equality. Which, yeah, the show finally decides to take it on. And by finally, I mean stop. What are you doing? Don't! Whenever you try to take on social issues ever since the 6th season, which is when you really started doing that, it's been terrible. Don't do it! You're not talented enough. But nope, they don't listen to me saying this months after the episode was shot. If only I could have gone back in time and stopped them. This is what makes the episode the worst. This right here. Did you know that the writers of Modern Family are extremely democratic and extremely liberal? I know because they tell me in the episode. So there is a part where, and by part I mean about a good third of the episode, because this is the plot that gets the most focus, where Luke and Manny talk to a feminist. And that is it. Literally, the whole thing, aside from some brief thing about Luke liking her that lasts for about 45 seconds, is literally just them talking to a feminist about the issue. And then she explains stuff like, did you know that there are only a couple CEOs in the this and this and this, and did you know that the government wants to control my body and keep us down and pay us less because they think we're second-class citizens? That's the whole episode. That's the whole plot. That's the whole part right there. Luke and Manny just talk to a feminist, and she's not directly looking into the camera most of the time, although sometimes she does look directly into the camera. It is essentially the Brian Griffin mouthpiece. Because what Brian Griffin is on Family Guy now is just Seth MacFarlane's microphone that he can spout his political beliefs into. This feminist character, who looks like is going to be coming back, is exactly that. She is just spouting off what the writers believe and the rhetoric and stuff. And then we also cut to the rest of the girls, being Lily, Alex, Haley, Gloria, and Claire. Now, all of a sudden, all of them are raging feminists because this is now a thing on the show, except it's not. And then their car breaks down, and then they're trying to use woman power. We are women, we are strong, to fix the car, but uh-oh, they're actually the stereotypes that we were fighting against. So you go from this really, really preachy, in-your-face, loud, obnoxious message that, while some people can definitely get behind, is still annoying to hear because it's not entertainment, it's a lesson. If I wanted a lesson, I would go to school or I would go online and then learn about this stuff myself. No. Now we go from that to the women's stereotypes that you were claiming literally 10 seconds ago were bad. And then they're talking about women power, women rights, all this stuff. And then we get some really uncomfortable bra jokes with Lily and how she's gonna be going through puberty soon. And it's uncomfortable. I mean, she used to be a sweet, innocent kid who was snarky, and now she's just, I don't know what. And then they get carjacked by this person who's a mechanic who they only let help because she's a woman. Okay, I can see Alex act like this, because Alex, especially lately, has become very spiteful and indignant. But Gloria? Haley? Lily? I don't see any of them doing this. I mean, say they're in this episode, if they were in a car and it broke down and then Jay said, hey, let me help you, they wouldn't let him do it. They wouldn't let him do it at all because he's a man and he's keeping them down. They are women, and even though they don't know how to fix a car, they're gonna fix a car. Yeah. Look, like I said, I don't want to get really political here. I'm not gonna spout my opinion on the women's rights thing, but the point is, this is not an episode. This isn't an episode. This is just the message saying that we don't agree with the direction the government is going. Here's the lesson you need to learn about women's rights so you can join our cause. And I'm not kidding. This part made me face palm right here. You know how I said that I know that the writers are liberal? I know you can, that's not a problem. You can believe whatever you want to believe. That's fine. Like I said, I'm not saying my political beliefs. I'm not saying which side I'm on because I don't want to alienate anybody, but there is a part where the carjacker says, you know, I think that when we get over differences, we're going to be stronger together. And then Claire turns to the camera and says, yeah, stronger together. We are stronger together. And then puts emphasis on those words. Do those words sound familiar to you, Hillary Clinton? That is how I know that this episode was just spouting off against the government and saying, we don't like where you're going. Here, have this preachy lesson. And that's fine. This is America. You can talk about whatever you want. You can do all that. But save it for your blogs or save it for interviews. Just don't make it an episode of your show, and a show that was doing so well. And if it ever had political agendas and ever did that, it would be really subtle about it. It would be very subtle, and it wouldn't be a main thing of the episode. It would just be like a little tidbit. But now they devote a whole episode to soapbox preaching and then trying to shove their opinion down your throats, saying, we're doomed, America, but here's how you can fight back. Because... I might as well stop here before I step on some toes. Let me just say that this episode was terrible. All things equal, definitely not equal. This is the bottom of the barrel. I don't see how you can get worse than this. Whether it be the awful Mitchell and Cam plot, the terrible, terrible, thinly veiled, soapbox preaching, Brian Griffin-esque nagging that the thing gives you in the 2 double plots, sandwich plots I call it, or the just flat out boring Jay and Phil plots. Either way, this is terrible and definitely gets the Scallion Seal disapproval, bar none. This one wasn't scheduled because, like I said, this one has just barely even been on the airwaves. But I wanted to finish this off. This was agony, really. I know it doesn't sound like much, but watch the episode and see how pandering it is. And it's not exactly that they're forcing the message. Like, that is bad. But the thing is, they're pandering to you. And they use all the really obnoxious feminazi tropes in there and use that to go along with the real women's rights arguments. Because I know plenty of women's rights people. I know, a few girls in my grade actually do support that cause very strongly. And I live in Washington State. One of them where they are very, very prone to that. So I definitely have talked with them about this stuff. And all the stuff they're mentioning here is the really, 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 really far ones. Like those feminist cringe videos on YouTube? They're using those arguments along with the actual arguments. If you're trying to support a cause and preach about it, make sure you get your facts straight. Well, better call it quits before someone, tries to bomb my house for not even really stating an opinion, because I hope I remained as unbiased as possible. Because like I said, I don't want you guys to know what I believe, because I want you guys to like me, because, what happened with JonTron and all those things. If you are different, you are not welcome here. So, as much as I remain a mystery when it comes to what I believe, that's good. So please, stop asking me whether I'm a Democrat or Republican. You know who you are, because there are a certain group of people who keep asking me, especially around the election time, what I thought of it, and trying to make videos about this and this and that. This is an entertainment channel, not a political channel, and I hope that this is as political as I'll ever get. Because let me tell you, this wasn't very fun, but I needed to get it off my chest and warn you guys about the direction Modern Family is heading, because if it keeps doing this, the show is going to be G-O-N-E gone, but I don't even care at this point. Lately, I've just been hoping that Modern Family would get better, but now I hope it disappears forever. I'm done with the show. I'm going to check out the next couple of episodes, but as far as giving the show support and hoping that it gets better, I don't care anymore. I want it gone. Well, folks, be careful out there.